Many times while building this house, many people ask us, how many mistakes have you made? And to be honest, we haven't really made that many mistakes that are hugely memorable. But in this episode, we actually get a little bit of a humbling when we install this flat roof EPDM. So let's install some EPDM. So one of the very first things we need to do is we need to bring up the EPDM roll. It is a 50 by 10 foot roll, and the problem with the EPDM roll is that it's extraordinarily heavy. So one of the things that we are going to be doing is we're not going to be bringing it in from the house, but we're actually going to be bringing it up through the pump jacks. And to be honest, we've done that, and it was extraordinarily heavy. I'm not exactly sure how heavy it was, but I'm pretty sure we were at the limits of the pump jacks.
Most roofing materials are designed for sloped roofs with a pitch of at least 312. Anything under 312 has special considerations. So in this case, for this flat roof, we're going to be applying this EPDM. This is Versico's 90 mil, and we're going to be doing a fire-rated assembly. Why the 90 mil? That's a commercial application. With residential, usually you can go with thinner materials. We got this recommendation from Lukman from Rangeline Homes. If you have seen his video, he makes top quality high-end homes, so we trust his advice completely, and he recommended this product. So it's a little bit thicker, but it's going to last forever, hopefully. Now, the second thing is the fire-rated assembly. In our case, we are fire protection freaks. Of course, we are on board with that. But the second thing you should know, many jurisdictions here in Colorado are now requiring the fire-rated assembly. It's not just for the GUI, it's in many places. So you want to check your jurisdiction because you don't want to rework your roof. So now we're going to walk you through all the steps on how we're going to install this. The very first one is going to be, as soon as this roof gets dry, we're going to be detailing our zip tape to make sure that our weather barrier is in pristine condition.
We're getting ready to install our EPDM. Unfortunately, it's raining. Hopefully this rain will go away and the sun will come out and everything will dry because we need it to be dry. That said, I might as well take the opportunity to show you what's taking place. The first thing that we did is we installed a piece of zip sheeting all around the perimeter. We ripped it to 5 inches. This is important because we need a nice solid surface for our drip edge that we're going to be installing in this video. Another reason for having this is it's 1/2 inch. The insulation is 1/2 inch, so it helps us butt against it. What you see right here are the Polyiso panels. They are specially made for flat roofs, and these are what make our fire assembly work. They are a coated glass facer. So what that means is that they have a little bit of glass on both sides. So if a fire comes up, it has more resiliency from starting the fire. These are cover boards in general, but we are using Versico's SecureShield. What makes it special is that it has 2 colors, the black and the white, and that's more for the flash of time. The flash of time means how long it takes for the adhesive to cure after you have installed it. So if you're in a hot place, you use the white side. If you're in a cold place, you use the dark side. As far as installation goes, we are using Versico's fasteners. The cool thing about these fasteners is that they are fully threaded, so that means you can install them anywhere on the roof. You don't need to be hitting rafters, and they are self-tapping as well. You need to use a big washer so that it holds the insulation in place. And finally, you can use about 8 per panel, and that's more than enough. So typically I would be very excited to show you what we accomplished, and we did install the EPDM, except to be honest, I'm not very happy with the final installation. When I see EPDM installations, they look very flat and nice, I guess, overall. Unfortunately for us, our EPDM installation had some bubbles here and there. You might be able to see them. To be honest, I'm not sure what was the cause of the problem. Once we finished installing it, it looked beautifully. And then the sun came out, and where the sun came out is exactly where all these bubbles started to show up. So my theory is that because it was raining earlier in the morning when we installed it, maybe some of that water evaporated, we didn't let it out. My thinking is maybe we were moving too quickly when installing the EPDM. I think the reason why we were moving quickly is because the glue cures relatively quick, or flashes. So we wanted to move quickly so that glue could cure. But my thinking is what we could have done is we could have put a row of glue or adhesive, then roll it, make sure that there weren't any bubbles, and then by moving slower, some of that water, air, and cure time could have had the chance to escape. Anyway, that's my theory for now. What we're going to have to do now then is for the big bubbles, we're going to cut them open, make sure that they don't have any air, apply glue again, and apply seam tape all around them. It won't look as nice as I was hoping, but at this point it is what it is. We're going to be putting fake grass in this roof anyway at some point in time, so they won't be fully visible. But we just like to do, to be honest, a perfect job if possible. So this is not perfect. This is disappointing. This is actually one of the biggest disappointments that we've had while building this house. We've had a couple here and there, but this is probably one of those. So anyway, let's fix this roof. Hopefully we'll get a second chance when we apply the EPDM on the higher upper roof, and hopefully we don't make those mistakes again, which I don't really know if they were mistakes, but I'm going to apply these theories up there now. So let's do it. Check this out, we have not done absolutely anything to the EPDM and it's starting to look nice. I have a suspicion that it has to do with the fact that it started to get a little bit colder, so a lot of that hot air is not expanding anymore, it's compressing. So that's why a lot of the bubbles have gone away now. If you do know, please comment down below, I definitely would love to know. That said, we're going to be moving back here to install that little piece of EPDM on the tiny roof, and then we'll be moving to the upper roofs. We began the process of installing our drip edges, and we are actually using two types of drip edges. We're using what's called the Z type. I don't know if you can see, it's comes down and it has like a little kick out. And then what we're using this for is for where we have gutters. I'm not sure if these are actually gutter aprons or if they're different or if they're the same. If you do know the difference, please comment down below. I definitely would love to know. So anyway, we're using these ones for everywhere where we have gutters. And then for where we don't have gutters, like the sides of the house where water won't be massively dripping off, we're using the T type, which is what you see right here. It kind of looks like a T. It has a baby kick out at the bottom, and this is mainly, I guess, obviously for water, but also to make it look nice. That said, as far as nailing pattern, we're using the fortified method. I'm not sure, I believe code gives you up to 12-inch screwing or nailing, but we're doing the fortified method that recommends you to do 4 inches. And the reason we do fortified is because fortified is a good system for like harsh weather and all that kind of stuff. Here where we are, we get up to 140 mile/hour winds, or we can get up to, which is basically hurricane winds. So we want to make sure that these gutters, these drip edges don't go anywhere.
When we install drip edge, we like to use a spacer to make sure that we are leaving a 1-inch gap. And we're going to nail this every 4 inches following the recommendations from Fortified. Now, when we get to the corner, we also use the spacer. But before we install this, it's very important to create a tab. We just remove the keycap from the bottom, remove the top part, and then we bend it. Now we slide the corner piece as far as it can go. And then we are going to mark a line, transfer the measurement to our drip edge, and we're going to make a few cuts. With the tab bent all the way to the back, I just slide the piece into the corner. I like to go under the other piece and over the tab and all the way to the end for a nice final look. If I know that I will have to put 2 pieces of drip edge, I like to create a little tab to help me align. So I cut the bottom kick out, I cut the top part, but I like to leave this little piece right here with a triangular shape, and that's because it's going to help me to align the next piece. So I insert it this way, I insert it under the other one, and now I have a very smooth finish. If you are a bit picky like me and this little edge is bothering you, you can use a flat hammer and just hit it a little bit. With the drip edge installed, now we just need to finish the final detail recommended by Versico. It has 4 components. So the first one is going to be this primer, and we're going to apply it. It cures pretty quickly, so we need to move relatively fast. We move in small pieces. Once we have applied the primer, we're going to install first 1 6-inch strip. This is Versico's, it's called VersiGuard Quick Applied Cured Cover Strip. So the first one is going to be 6 inches. We do it a little bit inside from the edge. After we have installed that one, we apply the primer again, and then we're going to apply a 9-inch strip, and you can see the details somewhere on the screen. And the final step is going to be applying EPDM sealant. So this one is going to be in pretty much around all the edges, like so. And I have one tip for you. Since this is the final finish of the roof, you want it to look nice. So we actually apply that chalk line to install the strip, and it looks very nice.
So now let's take care of the flat roof over the office. Hopefully some of the lessons that we've learned will be applied there, and then the EPDM will be looking nice and beautiful. We'll be doing the exact same thing, so let's take a quick little time lapse as to how we finish it, and we'll see the results at the end.
how beautiful this EPDM turned out to be. It barely has any bubbles. We are super happy with the results. We had this theory that we probably moved too fast with the other roof, and it turned out to be true. The only different thing we did on this one was that we waited for the adhesive a bit more to flash off before rolling in the EPDM, and it turned out great. In an ideal world, we would have preferred to do this small roof first instead of the other one, but the roll was super heavy, so it was impossible to bring it here. Really, the reason why the other roof is more important is because it's quite visible. You can see it from the windows. It's a larger area, but well, sometimes you have to work with what you have available.
Rinse and repeat. We're going to be doing the same thing now for our baby little roof that's only 2 feet long. What makes this one special is that it has overlaps, so we're going to be showing you how we do the overlaps as well.
I'm going to show you the seam detail with this mock-up. We already did it on the roof, but it's fall time. We were running out of light. It was getting cold. We had to move fast, blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty simple, so I'll show you here. The first thing to do is you install your first layer of EPDM. And then for the second one, it's important to make sure you have at least 10 centimeters of overlap. 10 centimeters, it's about 3 inches. So obviously not a US design. So you need to leave this overlap. As you can see here, the second part of the EPDM, I already installed it, and it's just a regular process with adhesive. Now where we have this flap, the next step is going to be applying primer on both sides. Now I just have to wait for it to dry. The idea is like here it's already ready, it's dry. Here I still need to wait a little bit more. So this is now ready, so the next step is applying the seam tape, and we're going to roll it. Now we remove the plastic liner, we close it, and then we roll it. Now this is how we're going to be repairing the bubbles on the EPDM. We are not sure if this is the recommended or approved method, but we think that it's going to work. If you know of any better methods of doing this, please comment below. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bubble open, and then I'm going to flatten the EPDM, and with my scissors I'm going to cut until it's perfectly flat. The next step will be applying some primer and letting it flash off, and then we're going to apply this 3-inch seam tape. So we're treating it as a seam, so it's not necessarily a seam because that would require an overlap of 10 centimeters or about 2.5 or 3 inches on each side, which we're not going to have in this case, but I'll show you in a moment what we're going to do instead. So now let's apply the primer. The right flash of time for the seam tape is when I touch it and it doesn't stick to me. This was our first layer of protection. The second one is going to be applying this 9-inch membrane. It's the same we use for the drip edge. With this one we provide what we believe to be sufficient coverage, and it's how we compensate for this not being necessarily a seam. So the next step is going to be applying primer. I'm going to remove this cover, apply the primer, and then we apply the membrane. One important note for the seam masking tape, it's very important that you roll it. We have done that. Now the final step we need to do is applying sealant all around the perimeter. But here's the thing, if you apply primer, you need to wait at least 2 hours before you apply the sealant, so we're going to come back a little bit later to do that.
So now we have this little crazy transition between the EPDM and the gray size and water shield. What's going to be happening here is we're going to be getting our solar roof, and in theory the solar roof is going to overlap into the EPDM. But for now we have this crazy little transition that doesn't make me very happy. So what we're going to be doing here and the back there is that we're going to be applying seam sealant. We're going to let it cure, and then we're going to come back one final time and then applying zip tape just to be full belts and suspenders. And we're done with this episode. As you can see, the sun is coming down earlier. It's fall time. It's a little bit cooler. We did take a little bit of a humbling on this episode, but at the end of the day, it worked out. In hindsight, it would have been much nicer to install the upper roofs first. That way we could get a little bit of learning, because we didn't get any learning from the shed because we didn't install EPDM on the shed. But in reality, the roll is so heavy, and you should definitely know that it's so difficult to bring up, as you saw at the beginning of this episode. I would even say that the carton inside that's inside of the roll, I would say that's probably 30 to 40% of the weight. So if you need to bring something up, maybe you unroll it. I don't know. The biggest lesson I would say from installing the EPDM is apply the adhesive, but wait for the flash point to basically dry. That adhesive needs to dry, and let a little bit of space for that air to escape. So you install a little bit, move forward, let it dry, install a little bit, move forward, let it dry, and then you should be able to get very nice results like we did on the flat roof, and even this upper 2-footer one. Next, I would say EPDM is actually pretty expensive. EPDM, this 90 mil was about $1,500, but it turns out that this cover strip, this rubber cover strip, is really expensive. I did not expect it to be. I thought it was going to be like tape, but it's really expensive. So if you're tight on budget, maybe you should consider using something else. Of course, I still have my theories about the temperature, because we were installing while it was on the shadow, and then the sun came out, then the bubbles showed up. So if you know how these bubbles show up, or why they show up, or if it's a good idea to maybe install like at the peak of the summer, maximum sun blast, maximum heat, that way when you install it, if you get any bubbles, if you do a good job, by the time it gets colder, by the end of the year, they all go away. But like I said, I don't know. We're not experts. So if you do know, please comment down below. And with that, we're done with this episode. Fortunately, it didn't end up being as terrible as we thought, but it is not great anyway. So, oh yeah. And finally, I should say, we're going to be putting fake grass on top of this roof once the house is almost complete. So fortunately, we won't have to see our mess. So anyway, see you in the next episode, where we're probably going to be installing, I don't know what we're going to be installing, but we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.